I'm going to be painting dogs in space, but not the classic black space. I'm going to get really stellar with it. So a friend hit me up and commissioned me to paint his dog in space, but I don't typically do normal space. I like to get really psychedelic with it, really trippy with it, lots of colors, and I'm gonna look forward to doing that. But first step, I want to show you guys the sketch. So this is the sketch. It's basically just a simple design of a dog in space. He's laying in some clouds, there's a couple planets, and he's trying to eat some pizza. The guy who commissioned it is a friend of mine, and he calls his dog the pig. And, I thought really hard, what does a pig do the most? And pigs eat. So I said, let's have him chasing after some pizza, because he always loves some pizza. And to give it a little bit more novelty, I added like little turbines on the back to make it kind of look like a spaceship. But yeah, he's really happy with the design, which is awesome because I don't want to have to go back through and redo it. Even though it's a simple design, it'll be fast and it'll be great. I'm looking forward to it. As far as colors go, I don't know what this is going to do. I've got a lot of blues lately in my paintings. I'm probably going to incorporate those, maybe some yellows. I'm definitely looking forward to the color of this black dog playing on some nice neon colors. But yeah. But again, first things first, we have to get this put onto transfer paper. So let's blow this up and then we'll go from there.
So once I have the sketch worked out, I send it over to an app called DecaPrint, and what it does is it prints it out to the size that I need it to be based on how many sheets I need. And it'll also give out the dimensions that I need, so that way once it prints out and I get done cutting it out, it's not too big or too small for the canvas that I'm going to be painting on. Once I have it all cut up and taped together, I lay it onto a piece of transfer paper so that way I can transfer my sketch from the sketch paper onto the canvas itself.
Okay, so graphite paper or transfer paper is really just like this waxy paper-like substance, and you will take, like, let's say you have a sketch and it's on like a really big piece of paper, or you do like I do and you print out multiple sheets, tape them together. You then lay this on top of the transfer paper and then you go back over it with a pencil, and then on the canvas it leaves behind the marks from where you went over tracing. It's really helpful, like I said, especially if you're doing like a 30-on-40 canvas, it helps out a lot. I know that some muralists will take long sheets and just like use the same sheet over and over again, so it helps out a lot. But let's get to that real fast. Okay, so I've got the basic outlines of the painting put in, which is good because it's going to allow me to go into the background, paint that first, hit the planets, and then also hit the foreground as well before I put in the dog. This is going to help me out so that way I don't have to worry about these lines so much while I'm painting. I can lay the graphite paper back on when I'm done, add in the details, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm hoping. I've never done this before this way, so we'll see. But yeah, let's get to it real fast.
So I don't have a traditional easel. I just use like this little tripod church easel, and I attach these little clamps to it, and that holds up the easel for me while I do my painting. I just lay the camera on top of those, and then I just do my painting, and it does pretty well for me. I don't really have an issue with it. The paints I use are just regular Master's Touch. I get those from like Hobby Lobby. And the palette I use is, you might think this is weird, I just use a toaster oven little, oven pan, and that holds up pretty well for me to put my paints on it. I actually put washi tape on it, so that way if I ever want to clean it, I can just peel off the washi tape and it's not a big deal. And for this painting, I've never really used these before, but I have these like metallic paints laying around, and I thought I would give those a shot and see what kind of textures and what kind of effects I can use with those on this painting. And surprisingly, they were actually pretty transparent. I expected them to be pretty thick, but they were pretty difficult to lay on a decent layer. So I had to lay on a couple layers on just to get any sort of, depth to it. But, in the end it worked out. If I mixed it with some like white paint, it gave me the opacity I needed, and I ended up being able to Bob Ross some clouds in there, and I was pretty happy with it at the end. And I also had this silver paint laying around, which helped me out a lot because I was able to add it to a color that I wanted to put on the canvas, and it gave me the metallic effect too.
So I guess I forgot to hit record on my GoPro, but all I've really been doing is I went in and I added this black on top of all that like messy color that I've got going. I don't really have a rhyme or reason to what's going on right now. Sorry, I just stepped on a dog toy. I don't have rhyme or reason to what's going on right now. It's really early in the painting. I'm just kind of looking for little indications where the paint might have laid thicker on and created like a little darker tone than a lighter tone. And then I'm gonna go back in there and then like redefine those little textures and add some white highlights to that at the end. And that's basically how I develop my cloud textures. But yeah, let's get back into the time lapse. So I've got a majority of the background put in. Now what I want to go in and do is add in the 2 planets on this side, and then I'll go back in and add in some clouds on top of that. I want to do this real fast just because I think it's got enough depth without those that once I add those in, I'll be able to add more clouds, but touch up the clouds that I've got in the corners, and then that'll definitely add the depth that I'm looking for. Also, if you haven't noticed, I have changed shirts. I'm working on this over multiple days. You know, I can't necessarily do this in one day, and for continuity errors, I'm just gonna let you guys know. So I've been sending updates to the customer, and he has loved it so far, but he wanted to take out the pizza. He thought that, you know, the way it is right now, he thinks the pizza would kind of take away from it, which I completely respect, I completely agree. I have to go in, I'm going to cover up these lines real fast. That'll give me more room to add clouds, which I'm super pumped about. Yeah, let me get to that. So I wanted to jump in here real quick and let you guys know what was going on. Put this masking tape on top of the planet. I don't like using regular masking tape. I use like washi tape. This one is by 3M. It's just super delicate tape. I lay on darker color that I want my planet to be first, and then I'll lay the masking tape over it. And I'll go in with a box cutter and cut out the shape of the planet. It gives me a really crisp line, and I can get really messy because I like getting really messy. It will not bleed over onto the rest of the painting that I've already cut. And to cut out the circle, I just take a box cutter and I X-Acto knife that stuff out, but I don't cut the canvas. I've gone through the canvas before. It doesn't ruin the canvas. You know, you can go in behind with like super glue, something like that. You can honestly even like take a thick layer of acrylic paint and that'll kind of seal it together. But you know, it won't ruin the painting. And honestly, the canvas that we're doing these on, they're not going to last 100 years like, you know, masterpieces are. These are kind of paper canvases. So if you wanted to last, you know, 100,000 years, you probably should have used something else, but I don't mind. So yeah. Everything's coming along great, but I think I need a little bit of a break. So I'm gonna grab these 2 knuckleheads and we're gonna head outside. Come with me.
If you're from the west side, Cali, born and raised, right?
Now see, Sid, he wants to just give the ball. This one wants to fight for it.
We hustle cause we tryna live a good life. I'm driving down the coast, homies in the bag bumping loud. You know, we ain't got no worries. This my own, and I don't plan on leaving. There ain't nothing better than the west side, that's and right. I'm like, ooh, we on the map. We get the bag and they run it back. And I'm like, ooh, we on the map.
So after I got done having a break with those 2, I basically just got right back into the painting. And when I go about painting space, I don't really have a rhyme or reason like I've said in the past. It's just pure chaos. I lay the paint on there where I see indications of where I think clouds should be. I go in there with a brighter color with a white highlight and I add in an indication of what I think would be a cloud, and it's done pretty well for me so far. And I've scaled that up to larger sizes, smaller sizes, and it works out for me. And I apply color theory to that process as well, and it allows me to achieve different textures, different effects that, you know, I'm really happy with in the end. And for the dog, basically all of my painting is just a huge smudging effect. I'm not really sure how to cross-hatch with painting and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure that a master painter could teach me how, but I'm a self-taught artist and I really enjoy the way I paint because in the end it still gives me the effect I like and I still enjoy doing it while I do it. As weird as that sounds. As funny as it is, this dog looks a lot like my own dog Dixie, and the reference image I had wasn't the best reference image, so I looked at her a lot for a majority of what was going on here, especially the teeth and the arms. The dark shadows and light highlights were really hard to see, so having her here as my little helper really helped me out. Were it not for her, I don't know if I would have finished it in time, and you know, I don't think it would have came out as great. But once I finished up with the dog, I just went right back into the clouds to cover up the space that I didn't fill in with the dog. And yeah, finished her up.
Boom, she is all done. I just got done putting the finishing touches on it. I'm really ecstatic with how it came out. I love the color scheme. I love this little swoosh of galaxious, I don't even know if that's a word, galaxiousness. Clouds from a galaxy. I'm really happy with how the clouds from the galaxy came out. I chose not to put stars. This is kind of a stellar nursery, so I don't think that there are any stars in here yet. I'm really excited to show this to my friend Mark. He's seen some of it on Snapchat and stuff, but to actually see it in person is a completely different thing. You get to see all the textures up close. I am going to show you guys some close-up shots real fast. So now the next step is to put varnish on this. Varnish is going to make sure that it keeps, not necessarily forever, but it's going to keep for a long time. I just want to make sure that it's got some sort of protective layer on there. But yeah, I'm going to record myself doing that, and I'm going to show you guys that real fast. The clear coat that I'm going to be using is just like this DuraClear High Gloss. I don't like using matte varnishes on my paintings. I work in a lot of dark colors, and the matte varnish hides a lot of the details that I put into the darker colors. Whereas with the high gloss, it picks up the details a lot easier. Some people like to mix the varnish with water. With this particular kind of varnish, when I mix it with water, it tends to beat up on the canvas. And then by the end of the process of varnishing the canvas, you know, I've got all these different spots and stuff on it. I'm just not happy with it. So I just go straight from the varnish bottle to the canvas, and then I get it.
As soon as I began the process of varnishing, I realized that I didn't have a cup or like a little can to put the varnish into. So I just used this little bottle of Sprite, cut it open, reduce, reuse, recycle, you know what I'm saying? And I put the varnish straight onto the painting. I call this the Super Duper Max Hyper Glue 6000 because as soon as you put this stuff on, it instantly makes your painting look 20,000 times better.
And that just about does it. I just gave it to my friend and he's super happy with it, which is really what matters most to me. You know, as much as I can be happy with the painting, if the customer's happy, that's really what I'm happy. He also showed it to the real customer, which was the dog in the painting, and he apparently also loved it. He got zoomies afterwards, which was, you know, that was even better to hear. If you made it this far in the video, it would mean a lot to me if you gave me a like. If you subscribed as well, I'm going to be pumping out all kinds of videos and tons of painting videos in the future. I look forward to doing that, and I look forward to hearing from you. You can follow me on a bunch of other social media. I'm going to have that down in the description. And yeah, also check out my website. I've got all kinds of merch on there. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching the video. I hope you guys come back, and I hope to see you soon.